right, good morning.
Morning.
Parole is called to order. Today is Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. It's 8:30 a.m. My name is Cheryl Nuts. Our chair of the Parole Committee. My colleagues on the panel are Mr. Roche and Mr. Freeman. We're at DOC Baton Rouge. First, with staff here in Baton Rouge, introduce yourself for the record.
Parole.
Francis Abbott.
Thank you. And our first remote location this morning is at Elaine Hunt Correctional Center. Would the staff at Hunt please introduce yourself for the record?
Good morning, Donnie Barlow, Ward.
Chrissy LeBlanc, classification.
Assistant Warden Thomas. Dr. Johnny Crajon, Medical Director.
Joe Buttress, Assistant Warden.
First time we have before us our first case. That's Mr. Fleming. Good morning, Mr. Fleming.
Good morning.
Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number.
Terry Flemings, 114500.
Okay, Mr. Fleming. And you are represented by counsel this morning. I believe we have Ms. Sarah Dowd and Andrew Wise. Are y'all on the call this morning? Yeah, they're on. I'm going to ask counsel to introduce themselves for record. Is Andrew at the facility? Andrew, why? Ms. Dowd, you're on, I'm told you're on mute. If you could unmute your mic. He's unable to unmute. Yeah. We're going to call her on the phone and let her do it by speakerphone. While we're waiting for that, let me acknowledge the other folks who are here with us this morning. We have the Parole Project, Mr. Gary Myers, Tiffany Johnson, and Tricia Beltran also.
Hey, look, you're gonna have to sign that you got other devices that you can put you on speaker. Okay. No, we're going with the hearing right now.
Okay, Ms. Dowd, would you introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, this is Sarah Dowd on behalf of Terry Fleming.
Okay, and I also have listed Andrew Wise. Is he, where is he?
Yes, Mr. White is also on behalf of Mr. Fleming, and he is in the room, Mr. Fleming.
Oh, he's there in the room with y'all, Mr. Wise? Can you?
No, Mr. Wise is not in the room, Madam Chairman. He's not at the facility.
Not at the facility yet, Ms. Dowd.
Oh, okay. He should be there soon.
Do we want, can you stay without him or do we need to wait?
We can proceed without him.
Okay, all right. Are you okay with that, Mr. Fleming, to go ahead and proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to read some identifying information into the record. I ask you to confirm that information. And then we'll start the parole. Your case is assigned to Mr. Freeman. He'll take the lead on the interview. We'll hear from the folks there at Hunt and those other folks that indicated they'd like to speak before we vote. You'll be allowed to make a statement. And then we'll turn it over to Ms. Dowd for her presentation. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Is anyone else, Mr. Fleming, two members of his family are also supposed to speak?
Is there anybody else there with Mr. Flynn, Warden Bordelon?
What's that? I couldn't hear you.
He was expecting some other folks there, Tiffany Johnson and Tricia Beltran. Or is anybody else there yet?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, Ms. Dowd is nobody.
Go forward a little bit later, and we're missing a number of people confirmed out of this thing that they do have.
Yeah. I only have two listed on the list, Tiffany Johnson, Tricia Beltran. Who
Yeah, and
was,
Mr. Watson as well.
and Mr. White. All right, so we'll set him aside. Can we set Mr. Fleming aside and move to the next case?
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, good morning. Is this Mr. Fleming?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Fleming, once again, sir, would you introduce yourself correctly?
Terry Fleming, 114500.
And we made the introductions earlier, so I would just once again ask counsel to introduce first himself for the record.
Good morning, Andrew Wise on behalf of Terry Fleming.
And counsel, co-counsel?
Good morning. Thank you for delaying this for us. Sarah Dowd on behalf of Terry Fleming.
I'm not sure, but for those who have just entered the room and they're at the facility, I'll go ahead and repeat how the process works. I'll read some identifying information into the record. I'll ask you to verify that information. Then Mr. Freeman, to my right, will take the lead on the parole interview. We'll hear from the staff there at Hunt and those who have indicated they'd like to speak this morning. And I have listed, we introduced Mr. Myers earlier, the Parole Project. Tiffany Johnson, sister, and Tricia Beltran, sister, will also be speaking. Mr. Fleming will be allowed to make a statement before we turn it over to counsel to close it out for us. So, Mr. Fleming, you're classified as first felony offender. You're currently serving a life sentence for a second-degree murder conviction in Terrebonne Parish. You were sentenced in September 1986. Your parole eligibility was determined to be September 11, 2010. Mr. Fleming, is that information correct?
That information sounds good. Yes,
I think so. They never told me that.
Okay, Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Fleming, how old are you?
54.
Okay, and how long have you been in jail on this charge?
38 years,
What's your level of education?
9th grade.
Okay, have you tried to get your GED since you've been in prison?
Yes, sir.
Sir?
Yes, sir. I was in school before I left, but I took sick and they put me in the hospital.
What is your medical condition?
Poor heart condition, my heart working at 20%, my kidney failed, and my lungs is not too good either.
Doctor, what is this prognosis?
You want the whole list?
The short version.
It's extensive. His major problem is he does have end-stage ischemic cardiomyopathy. He's correct. His ejection fraction is estimated to be 20 to 25%. It leaves him quite debilitated. He is not able to walk more than about 50 feet. That's why he's in a wheelchair. He also has chronic kidney disease stage B. He's got severe peripheral artery disease. The man has suffered MIs. He's got stents in his neck. He has severe bilateral low extremity arterial disease. He's got aortic regurgitation, mitral valve regurgitation, and hypertension. He repeatedly keeps having these styes appear on his eyes. He's got GE reflux. He has some COPD, but it's mostly the oxygen is because it supports his cardiac system. I just came back to Hunt about 10 months ago. He came on my radar fairly quickly. Up until his last hospitalization in December, he was being hospitalized quite frequently for heart failure decompensation, and which would lead to respiratory decompensation. And but I think that last time really scared him. And he's been stable since, but he's been very strict following his recommendations on a low sodium diet and a fluid, you know, a 1200 cc fluid intake a day, because we've had many discussions about how he's got to walk a very fine line between getting dehydrated and not having his kidneys function, or getting overloaded and having his heart fail. He presently lives in our assisted living dormitory because he does need some assistance with his ADL. And he can get up and move, but like I said, he's extremely limited in his activities of daily living. And he's pretty much oxygen dependent. He can go a little while without it, but any type of exertion, he's going to need to be on oxygen.
Okay, thank you, sir. Let's talk a little bit about your crime, Mr. Fleming. What happened? You were 16 years old when this crime was committed?
That's it.
And what was y'all thinking at that time?
We really wasn't thinking at all, sir. I was just following someone, you know, trying to be a friend, following someone, and he went and committed crime, and I was waiting. And I tried to stop him, but it was too far gone.
Y'all got a total of what, $21 from this crime?
Yes, sir.
Y'all each got about $7.
Yes, sir.
Did you have the baseball bat?
He gave me the baseball bat to go put in the car later on. After the crime.
Did you swing the baseball bat at the victim?
No, sir, I didn't. But I was there.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad you're admitting the truth. Were you involved in any drugs at that time?
No, sir.
How about alcohol?
No, sir. I did take a drink when I was little one time, but I didn't like it.
Took what now?
A drink.
A drink. Okay, so very little alcohol or drug problem. What you telling?
Yes, sir.
Any contraband write-up since you've been in there? Intoxication write-up?
No, sir.
Okay. The judges are opposed. The DA is opposed. We couldn't get the granddaughter this time, but prior we spoke to Miss White. She was opposed. The brother is opposed. What classes have you taken since your last hearing? I know you've been having medical problems, but what did you get to take any since then?
Yes, sir. I took the anger management, substance abuse, and core class, and pretty much every class that they was allowing us to have up here. And I got all the certificates in my jacket.
I'm looking at the classes you took. Looks like since your last hearing, when was your last hearing?
2020, February the 3rd.
And you took behavioral management. The other classes, it looks like you took before that. You're saying you've taken classes since your hearing?
Since my hearing, yes, I did.
Martin, have you taken classes since his hearing?
I think what he's referring to in the behavioral management program, there's several classes in there that include substance abuse, anger management. It's just kind of broke down into some smaller classes, but there is several courses inside the behavioral management program is what he's referring to.
Is he currently on backlog for any classes? I mean, I'm sure y'all probably had to take him off.
He was in and out of NCER and pre-GED classes for several years. I don't see him. I think he's backlogged for a living balance and cage rage and parenting classes, but he's been in the SNU and assisted living on off and on, so he really hasn't had an opportunity to take him.
Okay, Mr. Fleming, you're right up, you had 188 of them, which is a bunch. Your last one was in 1019. It was fought fight. Prior to that, you hadn't had one since 2014, and it was disobedient. What made you change? What changed where you quit getting all of these write-ups?
And I kind of like growed up and started realizing that that wasn't the way of living, you know, it's time for me to change. And I tried to do what was right, what the security tell me to do as I got older.
Okay. You're a low risk. What your transition plan besides the parole project? What are you gonna do after that?
Well, I can cut grass, I can cook, you know, I can even do a little, you know, housework, like fixing cabinets and stuff indoors.
Are you eligible for Social Security or Medicaid?
Yes, sir.
Parole project, if I may cut short and go to you right now, is that okay? I want to hear what y'all have to offer for it.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. Based on Mr. Fleming's, we've been working with Mr. Fleming, with his family and his attorneys. We feel that the best plan for Mr. Fleming would be to go to his family upon release, because he'll be local in the area, in the Baton Rouge area. We've worked with the family and they've agreed to bring him, transport him back and forth to our offices for programming. We'll provide the support. We'll make sure he's connected to his Medicaid and other benefits. We'll make sure that we initiate his SSI disability applications and follow through on that. We'll provide him the transitional programming based on his ability and his health, based on his ability to get back and forth. And we've already worked with the family to ensure that he would get back and forth to classes. But because of his need for oxygen, because of his medical condition, we've talked through it, and we feel that it's best that he just, instead of being in our transitional housing, since he is local in the area, that he would be best with his family where someone can help him manage his medication.
Okay, Mr. Myers, and I know y'all will, but y'all will keep up with him and let us know if he stops coming to the parole project.
Yes,
Does
sir.
not follow y'all treatment plan?
No, yes, sir. He'll go through the treatment plan. He'll be evaluated by our social worker. We'll provide him all the services that he just won't be in residence with us.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Myers. Warden, you have any comments?
Nothing else, Mr. Britt.
Okay. I haven't.
I don't see any other questions. So let's hear, let's hear from Tiffany Johnson. And Ms. Johnson, it would be with you, living with you and Zachary.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead and tell us what you'd like us to know, ma'am.
So I have developed a strong relationship with my Uncle Terry. I started coming to visit him in the prison when I was about maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I've continued to visit him since then. We talk on the phone, we write letters in JPEG, we have visits quite often. I bring family, sometimes we have my kids to come and visit. I just believe that it's going to be a good transition for him to come and be with us due to his health kind of declining, as well as my grandmother, you know, making 81 years old. So I think that with her age and his health, it would be very appreciative if you all would find it that he would be granted parole. I also have finished school and become a medical assistant, and I am a phlebotomist. So with his medical help, I would definitely make that a priority, as well as transportation to and from the program.
All right, good, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Beltran?
Thank you.
Good morning.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Terry is my brother, and when he left, I was like 12, but he's always been a good brother, very supportive. Everything I was going through, he was always there and active and tried to help me, encourage me, even as I was growing up, and he was still young himself. So as I got older, I started being more of the encourager to him, you know, because I've gotten to ministry and he looks to me for like spiritual support and spiritual guidance. And I think he's grown a lot to me as a man, and I think he's grown spiritually as well. So what I can see, I'm gonna always be there and support him. And we have been just praying for him that everything works out well for him. I mean, it's unfortunate about his health, but we're gonna do as much as we can to try to help him, you know, with his health and his meds and stuff like that. So I just think we're gonna have a good supportive family to come through too, if you know he's granted that. You know, that's been our prayer for almost 30-something years. So we just believe in that he's rehabilitated and he's going to get the help and everything that he needs on our end.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll ask Mr. Fleming, we'll turn it over to your attorney. Is there anything you'd like to say to the parole panel?
First of all, I really would like to tell y'all, thank y'all for giving me this opportunity. But something I've been trying to do for many years, I did it once before, and I would really like to do it again to the victim's family. I really would like to see how sorry I truly am. I really wish that would have never happened. I wish that I could change it, but I can't, and I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, Mr. Wise, Ms. Dowd, I'll turn
Thank you. I just have a few comments for you. I want to start by highlighting that Mr. Fleming really had a difficult youth, and he has come an enormously long way, and he's really quite sincere in his remorse. You can see that over time, he's taken responsibility for his participation in that night, and he really feels fully responsible. I also think it's important to say that he had really a difficult time when he first arrived in prison, not only because of his age, but also because of his developmental disability. He has difficulty processing, particularly major changes, and he can also have a lot of misunderstandings that other people might not usually have. And this really contributed to his early time in prison with a lot of write-ups and some fights that you noticed. And as he's matured, he's learned not to engage when he had a misunderstanding. He's better been able to avoid mistakes. His developmental disability is also important to why he does not have his GED. I just want to clarify that he did take those classes and he's worked very hard in his education classes, but he was not able to achieve it. I think he last tested out consistently at a 5th grade level. However, his teachers have repeatedly told us that he worked as hard as he could in those classes and really made a commitment, but just wasn't able to achieve his GED. You know, it's important for us to understand that while his disability does limit him, he really has strong community support that you can see from his family, from Parole Project, and also from his church to ensure that if he is granted the privilege of parole, he'll be supported despite his disabilities and his health conditions. I also want to highlight his apology here to the family, but he also has written a longer letter to the district attorney, knowing it would be shared with the family. And I think this is probably the best example of his remorse for that night. Again, given his disabilities, it's sometimes difficult for him to give voice to how sorry he feels, but it's easier for him to do it in writing, which is why we attached that letter for you all to see in his own words the real remorse he has for that night. And he wrote that when he was not facing the pressure of knowing that if he doesn't convince you of his worthiness of parole, that he might not get another chance. So he was really able to express his remorse. I'd also like to just take a moment to highlight some of the things he's done since our last hearing. He really took the board's recommendations seriously after the last hearing, which focused on him taking programming. He has participated, as you heard, in numerous programs. He's got 9 certificates since 2021. However, as has been pointed out, his health problems have worsened so much that he's no longer able to participate, and he lives full-time in the skilled nursing unit. The board did really encourage him to participate not only in programs that would get him certificates, but various group activities. And I will say the group activity I know he still participates in is physical therapy on Thursdays. And that's really the limit of his ability to participate in groups. I think our reentry plan is really strong for him. Obviously, he and his family are very grateful to Parole Project for accepting him despite his health conditions. And as you heard, one of the reasons that we've worked closely with Parole Project to have him live at home with his niece, Tiffany Johnson, is because she works in healthcare and will be able to assist him with taking his medications and monitoring his conditions and ensuring he still gets access to the care that he needs to manage these chronic conditions. And we think this combination of him both participating in Parole Project's classes and transitioning, but also ensuring he has someone equipped to help him with his healthcare and managing his severe conditions is going to set him up best as he transitions out of prison. As you heard, Mr. Fleming has profound health challenges that are both chronic and immediate. You heard from the doctor his many severe conditions. And we've heard from numerous doctors that these conditions are chronic and for conditions from which he's not expected to recover. And it's anticipated he will require an increasingly higher intensity of medical care with time. And for these reasons, we ask that this board grant him the privilege of parole. That's all I had, but if you have any questions for us, I'm more than happy to answer.
No questions? Wise wanted to add?
No, thank you. I'll defer to what Ms. Dowd has said.
All right, I believe we are prepared to vote, Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Fleming, think you have a very good supervision plan. And my recommendation is going to be to grant your parole to Ms. Tiffany Johnson's residence. You're not to move that resident without permission of your probation officer, and also to follow the correct parole project. That's my vote today.
Mr. Rocha.
Good morning, Mr. Fleming. Good morning, sir. Good. Mr. Fleming, I'm also going to vote to grant the early release. For my reasons are different. You're classified as a juvenile life. And under current legislation, you're eligible at 25 years for parole. You've served almost 13 years past that. In the length of incarceration, you have multiple pressing medical issues, and you have good family support and a good transition plan. Therefore, I'm going to vote for your early release. Good luck. Thank you, sir.
Now, and I do agree, they also is to grant for all the reasons that you stated. To the residents playing with your niece and the Parole Project plan. So good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.